The vast emptiness of deep space stretched before Raven Sinclair like an infinite canvas of darkness, punctuated only by the occasional glimmer of distant stars. Her maintenance shuttle hummed softly, its systems running routine diagnostics along the extensive communication relay network that formed the backbone of human deep space exploration. Raven had been a deep space maintenance engineer for 8 years, and the solitude no longer bothered her. At 32, she was more comfortable with machinery than most human interactions. Her lean frame was clad in a standard-issue graphite gray utility suit, its numerous pockets and attachment points telling stories of countless repairs and improvised solutions. The ship's communication panel suddenly flickered, breaking the monotonous rhythm of system checks. An anomalous signal cut through the background radiation, its pattern distinctly artificial yet unlike any standard communication protocol Raven had ever encountered. Incoming transmission, the ship's AI announced, its neutral tone betraying no hint of the unusual nature of the signal. Raven leaned forward, her dark eyes narrowing. The signal was fragmented, periodic bursts of data that seemed to pulse with an almost organic rhythm. It wasn't a standard distress beacon, nor was it a typical navigation signal. Filter and analyze, she commanded the AI, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. Moments passed. The signal continued, persistent and intriguing. It wasn't following any known communication standards, human or otherwise. Each burst carried complex data patterns that seemed to shift and realign themselves, like a living language. Origin? Raven asked, her curiosity piqued. Unable to determine precise coordinates, the AI responded. Signal appears to be emanating from a region of space approximately 0.3 light-years from current position. No celestial bodies or known structures in the immediate vicinity. Something about the transmission felt different. In her years of space maintenance, Raven had seen her share of anomalies. Equipment malfunctions, solar interference, even the occasional unexplained electromagnetic burst. But this was unlike anything in her extensive experience. The signal intensified, its pulses becoming more frequent. Subtle variations in frequency suggested an intelligent design, a deliberate attempt at communication. Raven's training kicked in. Protocol dictated maintaining a safe distance and reporting the anomaly to Central Command. But something deep within her, a mixture of scientific curiosity and an inexplicable intuition, urged her closer. Adjust course, she instructed the AI. Incremental approach, maximum caution. As her shuttle drew nearer to the signal's origin, subtle changes began to manifest. Quantum fluctuations in the surrounding space created subtle distortions in her ship's sensor readings. The communication relay equipment started registering unusual energy signatures that defied standard physical models. Then, without warning, everything changed. A massive energy surge erupted from seemingly nowhere. It wasn't destructive, but transformative, like a wave of pure information washing over her ship's systems. Her digital displays became a kaleidoscope of shifting patterns, mathematical equations that seemed to breathe and move, revealing complex relationships that human science had yet to comprehend. System integrity compromised, the AI announced, its voice remaining eerily calm. Unknown energy signature interfacing with ship's computational matrix. Raven's hands moved with practiced precision, attempting to regain control. But this was different. The energy wasn't attacking her systems, it was communicating through them, using her ship as a conduit for something far more complex than a simple message. Images began to form in her ship's holographic display. Not static images, but dynamic, multidimensional representations that seemed to exist simultaneously in multiple states. They depicted civilizations, technological progressions, and cosmic interactions that suggested a perspective far beyond human understanding. And then, as suddenly as it began, the transmission stopped. Silence consumed the shuttle's interior. Raven sat motionless, her mind struggling to process what had just occurred. The sensors showed no trace of the extraordinary event, no residual energy, no lingering signal, nothing to suggest anything out of the ordinary had happened. But something had changed, something fundamental. Raven Sinclair knew, with an absolute certainty that defied rational explanation, that her encounter was just the beginning of something far larger than herself. The universe had just whispered a secret, and she was now its unexpected messenger. Little did she know, The real journey was about to begin. The debriefing room at the Interstellar Research Facility felt sterile and oppressive. Stark white walls reflected the harsh overhead lights, creating an environment that seemed designed to strip away any sense of wonder or mystery. Raven Sinclair sat motionless, her report projected as a holographic display behind her, a complex web of data, sensor readings, and fragmented transmission logs that defied conventional explanation. Dr. Marcus Holloway, the facility's lead sinological researcher, studied her with a mixture of skepticism and barely contained excitement. His graying temples and deep-set eyes spoke of decades spent chasing the impossible, of countless theories dismissed and marginalized by more conservative colleagues. "Let me understand this clearly," he said, his voice measured. "You're suggesting that the transmission was more than just a signal. You're saying it was alive." Raven chose her words carefully. The memory of that moment in deep space felt almost like a dream now, its extraordinary nature diminished by the clinical environment. "Not alive in the biological sense," she explained, "but intelligent, adaptive. The signal wasn't just sending information. It was exploring, interacting with my ship's systems in a way that suggested a form of consciousness." Dr. Holloway leaned forward, his fingers steepled beneath his chin. "The data suggests something extraordinary. These mathematical constructs embedded in the transmission, they're not random. They follow complex patterns that hint at a level of technological understanding far beyond our current comprehension." A holographic reconstruction materialized between them, a three-dimensional representation of the transmission's core structure. It pulsed and shifted, mathematical equations flowing like liquid, revealing intricate geometric patterns that seemed to breathe and evolve. "These aren't just equations," Holloway muttered, more to himself than to Raven. "They're a language, a form of communication that transcends linear thought." Raven felt a shiver run down her spine. During her years of space maintenance, she had grown accustomed to the cold logic of machines, the predictable nature of technological systems. But this was different. This felt like witnessing the thoughts of an entirely different mode of existence. "There's more," she said, pulling up additional data from her mission logs. "The energy signature didn't just interact with my ship, it left something behind. Look." She highlighted a series of quantum fluctuations that had been embedded in her ship's computational matrix. They weren't errors or system glitches. They were deliberate, like lines of code woven into the very fabric of her ship's systems. Dr. Holloway's eyes widened. "It's a marker. A signature. Something designed to be discovered, but only by those capable of understanding its complexity." Their discussion was interrupted by the arrival of Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the facility's quantum physics specialist. Her entrance was accompanied by a holographic display showing a comparative analysis of the transmission's mathematical structures. "This is extraordinary," Rodriguez said, her excitement barely contained. "These patterns, they are reminiscent of theoretical models we've been developing about multidimensional communication. But this isn't theoretical. This is real." The implications were staggering. Humanity had long wondered about the possibility of extraterrestrial intelligence, but this was beyond simple radio signals or mathematical prime number sequences. This was a form of communication that suggested an intelligence so advanced it could transform information itself into a living, adaptive language. "We're looking at evidence of a civilization that doesn't just communicate," Dr. Holloway said, his voice hushed with reverence. "They encode their very essence into information, a species that has transcended traditional boundaries of communication." Raven listened, processing the implications. She had gone from being a routine maintenance engineer to the potential discoverer of humanity's first genuine extraterrestrial contact. The transmission she had encountered was more than a message. It was an invitation, a challenge to humanity's understanding of intelligence and communication. "What do we do next?" she asked. Dr. Rodriguez smiled, a glint of scientific adventure in her eyes. "We learn its language. We understand its message. And we prepare for whatever, or whoever, sent it." The room hummed with potential, with the electricity of a discovery that could reshape humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. Outside the facility's reinforced windows, the night sky seemed to hold new mysteries, new possibilities waiting to be explored. Raven Sinclair knew one thing with absolute certainty. Their journey had only just begun. The quantum resonance chamber hummed with an energy that seemed to defy conventional physics. Raven Sinclair stood at the center of a massive circular room, surrounded by intricate holographic projections that danced and shifted like living entities. After weeks of intense research and preparation, they were about to attempt something unprecedented, to decode and interact with the mysterious transmission that had forever altered their understanding of communication. Dr. Elena Rodriguez carefully adjusted the quantum entanglement matrix, her fingers moving with surgical precision across a series of holographic controls. Beside her, Dr. Marcus Holloway monitored a complex array of sensors, each one calibrated to detect the most minute variations in quantum information transfer. Initiating first phase of quantum resonance, Rodriguez announced, her voice steady despite the magnitude of their experiment. The room's atmosphere changed. The air itself seemed to become charged, vibrating with potential. Raven could feel something building, not just around her, but within her. The transmission they had discovered wasn't just a message. It was alive, adaptive, a form of intelligence that existed beyond traditional understanding. Holographic displays erupted around her, mathematical equations and geometric patterns spinning into complex three-dimensional structures. These weren't static representations. They moved, breathed, evolved in real time. Each pattern seemed to pulse with an inner light, communicating something just beyond the edge of human comprehension. Quantum coherence stabilizing, Holloway called out. We're maintaining synchronization at 78.6%. Raven felt a strange sensation, a tingling that started at the base of her spine and spread outward. The transmission was responding to her presence, adapting to her unique quantum signature. It was as if the information itself was alive, seeking to understand, to communicate. Suddenly, the holographic patterns shifted dramatically. What had been abstract mathematical constructs transformed into something more. Glimpses of landscapes, technological structures that defied human engineering, fleeting images of civilizations that existed in states of being humanity could barely comprehend. We're receiving something, Rodriguez said, her voice a mix of excitement and disbelief. But it's not just data. It's an experience. The images coalesced around Raven. She saw civilizations that had mastered communication as a form of quantum entanglement. Societies that didn't just share information but literally transformed themselves through communication. Each interaction was an act of mutual evolution, of shared consciousness. A voice, if it could be called a voice, began to form, not in sound, but in pure conceptual understanding. It spoke of a cosmic conflict of ancient civilizations locked in a struggle that transcended physical limitations. Humanity, the transmission suggested, was not just an observer. They were a potential catalyst, a species with a unique ability to adapt, to transform, to bridge impossible distances. Dr. Holloway's voice cut through the experience. Quantum resonance is approaching critical threshold. We're receiving massive amounts of information, but it's unlike anything in our databases. The room around Raven began to shimmer. The boundaries between physical space and the quantum information seemed to blur. She could see, know, experience multiple potential realities simultaneously. Civilizations rising and falling, technological progressions that spanned millennia, conflict and resolution playing out in complex, interconnected patterns. The transmission is attempting full quantum integration, Rodriguez called out, a note of warning in her voice. We need to stabilize. But it was too late. A wave of pure information washed over Raven. It wasn't just knowledge. It was a fundamental restructuring of her understanding of reality. She saw humanity's potential, not as a single species confined to one planet, but as a quantum possibility. A civilization capable of transforming itself, of bridging impossible distances, of evolving in ways that defied current scientific understanding. And then, as suddenly as it began, everything stopped. The quantum resonance chamber returned to normal. Holographic displays flickered and died. Dr. Rodriguez and Dr. Holloway stared in disbelief. Raven stood at the center of the room, fundamentally changed. The transmission had done more than just communicate. It had offered a glimpse of something greater, a potential future where humanity was more than just observers of the universe. What happened? Holloway asked, his voice barely a whisper. Raven turned, her eyes holding a depth that hadn't existed moments before. We just received an invitation, she said. And a warning. The Global Defense Council chamber fell silent as Raven Sinclair stepped forward. Gone was the unassuming maintenance engineer. In her place stood a woman transformed by the quantum resonance, her presence radiating an intensity that commanded attention. Representatives from every major world power sat around the circular table, their expressions a mixture of skepticism, fear, and reluctant curiosity. The holographic displays behind her showed fragmented images from the quantum transmission, glimpses of civilizations, technological marvels, and impending cosmic conflicts. "What we discovered is not just a message," Raven began, her voice clear and resolute. "It's a warning. Humanity stands at a critical junction in galactic evolution." Dr. Marcus Holloway activated the primary display, revealing complex quantum diagrams that seemed to pulse with living energy. The transmission reveals the existence of an ancient conflict, a war that has raged across multiple dimensions, fought by civilizations far beyond our current understanding. Admiral Kira Nakamura, head of the Interstellar Defense Force, leaned forward. "Are you suggesting we're about to be drawn into an intergalactic war?" "We're already part of it," Raven responded, "but not as combatants. As a potential solution." The room buzzed with tension. The quantum resonance had fundamentally altered Raven's perception, granting her insights that defied traditional scientific explanation. She could see the intricate quantum threads that connected different civilizations, the potential pathways of evolution that stretched across unimaginable distances. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stepped forward, presenting a series of complex simulations. "The transmission suggests that humanity possesses a unique quantum adaptability. Unlike other known civilizations, we have an unprecedented capacity for rapid technological and biological adaptation." The holographic displays began to show a series of scenarios, potential futures where humanity played a pivotal role in resolving the cosmic conflict. Each projection was a kaleidoscope of possibility, showing humanity not as a passive species, but as a transformative force. "There are entities," Raven continued, "ancient civilizations that have been watching us. They see humanity as a wild card, unpredictable, potentially dangerous, but also holding the key to resolving a conflict that has lasted millennia." Admiral Nakamura's skepticism was palpable. "And what exactly do these entities want from us?" A new holographic image materialized, a representation of quantum entanglement that showed multiple civilizations interconnected like a vast, living network. "They need our potential," Raven explained. "Our ability to bridge impossible differences, to adapt in ways no other known species can." The room felt charged with a mixture of fear and anticipation. The quantum transmission had revealed more than just a potential threat. It had shown a path to something greater. Humanity was no longer just an isolated species confined to a single planet. They were a cosmic possibility. Dr. Holloway highlighted a series of technological breakthroughs that had emerged from studying the transmission. Quantum communication systems that could potentially link distant civilizations, adaptive technologies that could revolutionize everything from space travel to medical treatment. "We're not just receiving a message," he emphasized. "We're being invited to participate in something far larger than ourselves." Raven stepped closer to the holographic display, her hand seeming to interact with the quantum projections. The images responded to her touch, shifting and revealing deeper layers of information. It was clear that the quantum resonance had changed her. She was now a bridge between human understanding and something far more complex. "We have a choice," she said, her voice resonating with a newfound authority. "We can retreat, try to ignore what we've discovered, or we can step forward and embrace our potential." The representatives exchanged glances. The implications were staggering. Humanity was being offered a chance to become something more, to play a crucial role in a cosmic drama that stretched beyond imagination. Admiral Nakamura was the first to speak. "What do we need to do?" Raven's eyes gleamed with a mixture of determination and wonder. "Prepare, learn, adapt, because the next phase of our evolution is about to begin." The quantum display behind her pulsed with potential, a living representation of humanity's newfound cosmic significance. They were no longer just observers. They were becoming participants in a universal narrative, far more complex and extraordinary than anyone had ever imagined. The void of deep space erupted with a cascade of quantum energy, a brilliant manifestation of humanity's first true encounter with the cosmic conflict that had been brewing for millennia. Raven Sinclair stood on the bridge of the quantum resonance vessel Horizon, her consciousness simultaneously anchored to the ship and expanded across multiple quantum states. Around her, the most advanced human technology merged with the mysterious alien quantum communication system they had discovered. The ship was more than a vessel. It was a living interface, a bridge between human potential and cosmic understanding. Quantum breach detected, the ship's AI announced, its voice a harmonious blend of machine precision and something more organic. Multiple dimensional interfaces approaching. The view screens filled with impossible geometries, civilizations rendered in quantum states, their existence a complex dance of potential and reality. These were the ancient entities that had been watching humanity, waiting, testing. Dr. Elena Rodriguez's voice cut through the tension. They're converging. This is the moment we've prepared for. Raven could see them now, not just with her eyes, but with the expanded perception granted by the quantum resonance. Civilizations that existed in states beyond linear time, their conflicts a intricate web of causality and potential. They weren't just watching anymore. They were evaluating. The first contact was nothing like anyone had imagined. No dramatic space battles, no grand speeches. Instead, it was a profound quantum dialogue, a communication that transcended language, that existed in the space between thoughts, between realities. Humanity's unique adaptive capability became immediately apparent. Where other civilizations had become rigid, locked into specific evolutionary paths, humans demonstrated an unprecedented flexibility. Each potential scenario the ancient entities projected, humans found unexpected solutions, paths of resolution that defied conventional strategic thinking. They're testing our quantum potential, Dr. Holloway observed, his voice a mixture of scientific excitement and profound reverence. Every interaction is a calculation, a measurement of our species' capabilities. The ship around Raven began to transform. No longer a purely mechanical construct, it became a living interface. Technology and consciousness merging in ways that challenged every previous understanding of existence. The quantum transmission they had first discovered was now revealed as a complex invitation, a test of humanity's cosmic potential. Sudden quantum fluctuations erupted around them. The ancient civilizations were no longer just observing. They were engaging. Raven felt the weight of millennia of cosmic conflict pressing against her consciousness. These were civilizations that had waged wars across dimensions, their conflicts so complex that entire realities had been created and destroyed in their wake. But humanity offered something different. Not brute force, not technological superiority, but adaptability. Potential. We're not here to fight, Raven communicated, not through words, but through a quantum resonance that vibrated with intention. We're here to understand, to bridge. The response was instantaneous. Quantum pathways opened, revealing the true nature of the cosmic conflict. It wasn't a war in any traditional sense, but a complex evolutionary challenge. Civilizations had become trapped in their own technological and philosophical limitations, unable to break free from recursive patterns of conflict. Humanity represented something entirely new. A species not bound by predetermined evolutionary paths, capable of radical transformation, of finding solutions that transcended existing paradigms. Hours passed, or perhaps moments. Time itself became fluid, a malleable concept in the quantum dialogue. The ancient civilizations began to see humanity not as a threat, but as a potential catalyst for resolution. We're changing the equation, Dr. Rodriguez whispered, her mind expanded beyond its previous limitations. Not through destruction, through connection. As the quantum dialogue reached its peak, Raven understood the true meaning of the transmission. It wasn't just a message. It was an opportunity, a chance for cosmic reconciliation. The final quantum pulse was unlike anything humanity had ever experienced, a wave of potential that reshuffled the very fabric of existential understanding. Civilizations that had been locked in conflict for millennia found new pathways, new possibilities, and at the center of it all was humanity. Not conquerors, not saviors, but bridges. When the quantum resonance finally stabilized, the horizon hung in space, changed, transformed. The crew looked at each other, understanding that they had just participated in something beyond human history. Raven Sinclair smiled. The journey was just beginning. Prepare for the next phase, she said, her voice carrying the weight of cosmic potential. We have a universe to reconnect.